This is a News 7 KWWL special report. The Salvation Army doing the most good.
People think like, oh, this can of food's not going to mean much. Oh, it means a lot to somebody who is really struggling.
From providing warm meals and shelter to assisting families over the holidays, the Salvation Army's mission, near and far, is to help human needs.
Good morning, sir. You know, you see and hear the Salvation Army's ambassadors every holiday season, and many bell ringers come back year after year.
The Salvation Army has been around for more than 150 years, a look back at how it got started. And good evening, everyone. I'm Abby Turpin.
And I'm Ron Steele. Thanks so much for joining us here for this KWWL special tonight, the Salvation Army doing the most good. Over the next half hour, we're going to be taking a closer look at how this Christian-based nonprofit organization helps those in need and how the programs are actually funded.
The Salvation Army in Waterloo, Cedar Falls is the largest provider of shelter in Northeast Iowa.
Thousands of Iowans struggle with homelessness, and many cannot even wind up in an area shelter.
For those who do, though, they face other challenges. KWW reporter Taylor Vessel kicks off our special with a story about a woman asking for a helping hand, but not a handout.
For Mother Jessica Gosa,
hi Braxton.
Last year was a challenge.
Ended up going to the women's shelter last year in December, like right before Christmas.
We were in the shelter last year at the same time Gosa and her kids were starting over.
I look at my kids and like, I'm doing it for them. You know, they are my motivation.
You qualify for the program by families that want to really have that drive to work and do something and change in their life.
Gosa signed up for Pathway of Hope, a Salvation Army program designed to assist families by setting goals and holding them accountable. A brochure for the program reads, quote, "If families are not demonstrating progress toward their goals and self-sufficiency, they are asked to leave the program and their spot is given to another, more motivated family."
It builds them from where they're at in their life to being self-sufficient.
The program coordinator for the Cedar Valley, Regina Lembrick, says to move forward, you have to know where you're at.
It really depends on where they start and where the need is. Once you assess that need, you know, when they're in shelter, our priority is housing and permanent housing.
Securing housing, teaching life skills, connecting families with opportunities.
I came from a family that I was told I'd never be nothing. I was going to have kids at an early age and, you know, I was going to drop out of school. And
in fact, school was near the top of Gosa's goals.
I'm all about my education.
Once she got a car and reliable child care, she enrolled at Hawkeye Community College and has a health care certificate.
So I actually accomplished everything by being into that shelter.
The path she and her family are on now is nothing but hopeful. Taylor Vessel, News 7 KWWL.
And Pathway of Hope has been in the Cedar Valley now for about 2 years.
If you or someone you know would be a candidate for the program, call the Salvation Army.
Well, the Salvation Army has been supporting people worldwide, get this, since 1865. 1865, how about that? Serving 33 million Americans, receiving assistance from the Salvation Army approximately every year. And also about 82 cents of every dollar raised is used to support the organization's various services in nearly 9,000 communities nationwide. In fact, the Salvation Army will be holding several Red Kettle campaign promotions later this week.
In fact, on Friday, they are hosting their first ever Freaky Friday football feud. Panther, Hawkeye, and Cyclone fans will compete to see who can raise the most money. Panther fans should donate at the College Square Hy-Vee. Cyclone fans should donate at the grocery pharmacy door of the Cedar Falls Walmart, and Hawkeye fans at the Home Living door.
On Saturday, it's the 11th annual Mayor's Battle of the Bells. This event, held every year, is designed to see who can raise the most money. It happens from 9 o'clock Saturday morning until noontime. Now, Waterloo Mayor Quentin Hart will be at the Crossroads Hy-Vee. Cedar Falls Mayor-elect Rob Green will be representing Cedar Falls. He'll be at the College Square Hy-Vee. And Evansdale Mayor-elect Troy Beatty will be at the Evansdale Fairway. And by the way, the mayor of Waterloo has won this event the last 10 years.
The holidays are a time when some families need the most assistance, from Toys for Tot drives and other toy drives to Christmas meal boxes. The Salvation Army works to make the holiday season brighter for those who might be struggling financially. KWW reporter Ashley Neighbor has this story.
Well, from food assistance to community lunches, the Salvation Army is working to ensure that everyone has a hot meal to eat, especially during the holidays. And for someone like Gina Lehue, whose only income is her monthly disability check, these meals mean the world.
Here's like one of the teams I did.
Gina Lehue has struggled with her health over the past 10 years, but if there's anything that keeps her spirits high,
These are my cheerleading medals.
it's staying involved with Special Olympics and volunteering. Since going on disability, money has been tight.
It was not a lot at first. And I was like, well, how am I going to pay the rent? How am I going to pay the lights? It really does make a difference when I used to have like close to a full-time job and then realizing that you are ill and you cannot work.
She pinches every penny she can, but when the budget isn't adding up, she turns to the Salvation Army.
If people think like, oh, this can of food's not going to mean much, oh, it means a lot to somebody who is really struggling financially.
Shala Ashworth says they see many people in the same situation.
And a lot of them do stem from some medical situations or just trying to stay ahead of bills that keep increasing, but sometimes the income doesn't keep increasing.
For several years, Lehue says their Christmas meal box has given her much needed financial relief.
Usually about this time, this is where I struggle the most.
Helping her get healthy foods that are often out of her budget.
Our food boxes they're about 40 pounds. They are heavy bags of food. And they consist of veggies and potatoes and onions.
And making her holiday much brighter.
When I get those in the food assistance boxes from the Salvation Army, I'm like going, yes. It's like, I can't afford this, but I got it. Yes, I can get this. I can eat it. Perfect.
Reporting in Lynn County, Ashley Neighbor, News 7 KWWL.
And every year, the Salvation Army says they give out about 1,400 Christmas meal boxes to those in need in Lynn County alone. And the Salvation Army in Lynn County kicked off its Red Kettle campaign at Nubo City Market. Cedar Rapids Mayor Brad Hart made the first donation. More than 75 red kettles can be found around Lynn County. They hope to raise $714,000 during this year's campaign. That is about 45% of the yearly operating funds.
You know, just like KWWL, another major campaign that the Salvation Army is involved in every year is the wonderful Toys for Tots program.
That's right. For many families, buying holiday gifts can place an extra financial burden on an already tight budget. From private donations to businesses to all of the volunteers who sort gifts for thousands of children registered, they all make sure that children will have a happy Christmas with presents. Distribution for Toys for Tots in Lynn and Black Hawk counties are going to finish tomorrow. Well, next week, the Salvation Army in Lynn County is going to be hosting its annual Christmas dinner. This will be held in Cedar Rapids on Thursday, the 19th, from 11:30 until 1. It is open to everyone. You do not have to sign up or register.
You know, in Iowa City, the Salvation Army there has been helping families for several decades, going back to 1989. A team of volunteers is helping the Army brighten the holidays for literally hundreds this month alone.
KWW reporter Travis Breeze tells us why one volunteer is happy to pay it forward.
Medical bills were a big setback for one Iowa City family earlier this year. Luckily for them, the Salvation Army was there to shoulder some of the load. Now paying it back as a volunteer, one mom can't thank them enough for their help.
I like seeing the joy in people's eyes when you extend a hand and don't expect anything back. I'll walk with you just a little bit. How's that sound?
The Salvation Army has been a part of Ashton Hollis's life for a long time.
I was adopted when I was 14, and I was adopted by people in the Salvation Army. So luckily I had a little bit of a knowledge of it.
2019 was especially hard for Hollis and her family, with hospital bills for her son's broken leg piled on top of regular expenses.
I just couldn't handle my child's recovering and rent and all those things.
Shortly after reaching out in June, the Salvation Army started covering her housing. Now she pays it back as a full-time volunteer.
She doesn't like to sit around, and the reason that she's in the circumstances is just unfortunate, not her own doing. So we're here to help her, and she comes and she gives back every day.
This season, she's helping coordinate bell ringers, change out collection buckets, and her son helps too.
He's been helping since 8:30 this morning. He helped make sack lunches for all the bell ringers.
Even when they no longer need the Salvation Army's assistance, she plans to keep giving back.
It's good to have a servant heart.
It's not about the dollars and cents. It's what the dollars and cents do, changing lives one person at a time.
Captain Graham's parents were missionaries with the Salvation Army in Jamaica. He and his wife run the chapter here now, and they call it rewarding work. Reporting in Iowa City, Travis Breeze, News 7 KWWL.
As of this weekend, the Iowa City chapter has raised over $45,000 for its Red Kettle campaign.
That's right, Abby. They've got a good start, but they have a long way to go. They need your help. They're trying to reach their goal this year of $250,000.
Still to come. They are the faces of the Red Kettle campaign. Hear why they brave the cold year in, year out, coming up.
Yeah. Really, I can be anything. That's what I see myself being able to do anything.
Plus, how one local Salvation Army chapter is helping its clients build a better future.
There are several ways to donate to the Red Kettle campaign. You can drop money in the kettles, and you can also donate by mail or online at give.salvationarmyusa.org.
And as I showed you moments ago, Kettle Pay is brand new this year. It allows you to donate through the Apple and Google Pay apps. All you have to do is scan your phone against the iPhone or Android logos on the kettles, and you'll be making a donation. We'll be right back. Welcome back to our KWWL special report tonight, the Salvation Army, doing the most good. You know, the Dubuque chapter of the Salvation Army this year rolled out a brand new program. If you've been watching our program here tonight, it's going to sound a little familiar.
KWWL reporter Ashley Scott tells us more about it.
The Dubuque chapter of the Salvation Army is helping meet people's needs today while also preparing them for the future.
I can be anything. That's what I see myself being able to do anything.
Dubuque's Pathway of Hope program points clients towards full-time jobs, educational opportunities, and spiritual programs. Sydney Coleman has coordinated the program since it began last January.
As we sit down and we say, hey, where do you want to go? What do you want to do with your life? How do we get you into a sustainable lifestyle, first of all, and then how do we allow you to fly? And we walk with you down that pathway.
Marlon Laren isn't just a client. She's earning her associate's degree while working for the school district.
I don't know, I feel like I can do anything. And I want to be more than just, I feel like I can do a lot and also be able to help out. I just know I have a purpose.
Coleman looks forward to guiding those just like Marlon Lernan toward a bright and happy future.
We're not just touching lives today, but tomorrow, 10 years from now, 50 years from now.
And the Pathway of Hope program helps both individuals and families. And you can check in with your local chapter to explore their services. In Dubuque, I'm Ashley Scott, News 7 KWWL.
The Dubuque chapter's Pathway of Hope program has already helped more than 200 people.
Now, that's fantastic. In fact, they plan on expanding services in the area in the very near future. And in Dubuque, the Salvation Army kicked off its Red Kettle campaign recently at the Kennedy Mall. This year, whether in Dubuque or elsewhere, as we mentioned, it's easier than ever for you to donate to the Salvation Army. You can just use your smartphone. All you have to do is scan it against the iPhone or the Android logos on the kettles, and you'll be making a donation. The Dubuque chapter hopes to raise $225,000 during this year's Red Kettle campaign.
And next week, they are holding their Where's Billy Booth contest at the Kennedy Mall. William Booth was one of the founders of the Salvation Army. Now, the Billy Booth mannequin will be placed throughout the mall next week. If you find him, leave a comment on the mall's Facebook page to be entered into a contest. You can also take a selfie while donating at the mall's Red Kettle to gain additional entries.
Still to come here tonight.
Merry Christmas and have a Happy New Year, yes.
Enjoy. You're going to meet some of the longtime bell ringers. They are so committed to their service year after year.
Good morning, sir.
And welcome back to a KWWL special, The Salvation Army Doing the Most Good. No matter how cold or snowy out, you see them ringing their bells with smiles on their faces.
And Abby, you and I have done plenty of bell ringing. It's a lot of fun. And the bell ringers, of course, they are such an integral part of the Red Kettle season. Tonight, KWWL reporter Vinnie Lowry talks with some of the faces behind the campaign.
The two ringers I spoke with have a combined decade of experience. Both decided to give back to the Salvation Army after they've received help.
Need to help somebody out, I guess, more than anything. They're a good organization. They help lots of people.
One of the easiest ways to bring cheer to those during the holidays is ringing the bell. The Salvation Army serves more than 25 million people from money raised in the kettles.
Have a wonderful day, ma'am.
Les Sargent has been ringing the bell for 6 years, once on the receiving end.
I needed a food package at one time, and I went and got it. They helped me out. That's all I needed. A helping hand up. It was great.
He's now on the giving end as a volunteer. Giving back is a common theme among the bell ringers. At the other end of the Cedar Valley in Cedar Falls,
Merry Christmas and have a Happy New Year, yes.
you'll find Joseph Austin. He's out greeting shoppers at the Cedar Falls Walmart 6 days a week.
I had to go to them to help me get my medication. That's one of the reasons why I like doing this job, and I like helping people out as much as I possibly can.
Austin's favorite part of ringing is chatting with the many people and kids passing by.
I like talking to people. They say I'm a social butterfly, and I am to a certain extent, but I'm cool with it.
Sargent and Austin, two of the many faces behind the campaign.
Alrighty, y'all. Have a great day.
Have a good night, ma'am, and a Merry Christmas.
The Salvation Army is still looking for help this bell ringing season. If you'd like to volunteer, you can certainly go to our website. Vinny Lowry, News 7, KWWL.
Hey, Vinny, thanks very much. Each Salvation Army branch has different needs to their service area.
That's right. They might not always need bell ringers, but they always need volunteers.
The Red Kettle campaign first began back in 1891 when a Salvation Army captain in San Francisco set up a crab pot and began collecting money for the poor around Christmas time. Get this, last year in the United States, the Salvation Army's Red Kettle campaign raised about $143 million. Throughout this program, we've been telling you what the Salvation Army does, but coming up, we're going to find out how the organization really got its start.
And welcome back to our KWWL special, The Salvation Army Doing the Most Good. We have told you about the works here locally of the Salvation Army, but who is behind the Salvation Army's history?
Well, tonight, KWWL reporter Colin Dorsey looks back at more than 150 years of helping others.
The year was 1865. A Methodist minister and his wife, William and Catherine Booth, set out to help the historically poor East End of London with the London Christian Mission. A decade later, it would officially become the Salvation Army we know today.
Their heart for those who were in need was big.
Dedication to others is the cornerstone for the church that has been called one of America's favorite charities.
The Salvation Army currently is serving in 130 countries worldwide. Our mission is international to reach the most vulnerable.
Captain Shannon Teese and her husband lead the Waterloo Cedar Falls Salvation Army.
The wonderful thing about the Salvation Army is that although we are the same Salvation Army, in each community our ministry looks quite different.
That could mean a full marching band, but much of the time we associate their works with outreach to the less fortunate. The Salvation Army has been in the Waterloo Cedar Falls area for more than a century. After bouncing around to a few locations, they finally settled into their Franklin Street location, where they run a robust food ministry, serving hot meals, but also handing out canned and perishable foods. But your Red Kettle change isn't just going towards food.
The Salvation Army in Waterloo, Cedar Falls, is the largest provider of shelter in northeast Iowa.
It also means helping with rent, finding a job, or even providing the last free medical clinic in the area.
We believe in the transformational work that can happen in people's lives. That happens when we care and we sit down with people and we talk with them. It doesn't just happen when we help them with their needs. We see a whole person.
Of course, all of these services require money. You may remember the Waterloo Cedar Falls Salvation Army had to cut back some of their services due to a lack of fundraising last Christmas season. Captain Teese tells me the Red Kettle donations account for about 30% of their annual budget.
Now, while the organization was created in London in 1865, it wasn't until 1880 that it came to America. The Salvation Army provides assistance 365 days a year in its more than 130 countries. And get this, more than 3 million people volunteer for the Salvation Army in the U.S. every year.
And a reminder once again, there are several ways you can make a donation to the Salvation Army's Red Kettle campaign. You can always go out to any Red Kettle and put money right in there at many, many locations. You can also donate by mail or online at give.salvationarmyusa.org.
And Kettle Pay allows you to donate through the Apple and Google Pay apps. Just scan your phone against the iPhone or Android logos on the kettles. We'll be right back.
There she go. You been good for Santa? All right.
Well, thank you so much for joining us for this KWWL special, The Salvation Army Doing the Most Good.
A reminder before we go here tonight, there are several ways you can make a donation to the Red Kettle campaign. Of course, you can go to any Red Kettle in the area in your particular community and just drop in some change, maybe one of those gold coins. Also donate by mail or online at give.salvationarmyusa.org.
And Kettle Pay allows you to donate through the Apple and Google Pay apps. Just scan your phone against the iPhone or Android logos on the kettles.
Hey, by the way, if you'd like to ring the bell, just go to registertoring.com. All you have to do is enter your city and state or your zip code to find out bell ringing locations right near you.
And you can find all of the stories we talked about tonight on our website, kwwl.com. Have a great evening.